Russia, onward bound to St. Petersburg and Moscow. Sochi is a beautiful town. Let's learn about Russia now.
Нравственность человека видна в его отношении к слову, так сказал Лев Николаевич Толстой. Я преподаю русский язык в Университете Центральной Флориды в течение последних 9 лет и заметила, что американцы– люди по большей части весьма практичные, поэтому многие мои студенты, выбирая свою специализацию, задумываются о том, как они в дальнейшем смогут применять полученные знания на практике и обеспечить себе сносное существование в будущем. Русский язык является критическим языком в Соединенных Штатах, и моя главная задача– привить моим студентам любовь к русскому языку, к русской литературе и культуре. Поэтому я провожу много внеклассных мероприятий, чтобы дать не только моим студентам, но и всем студентам университета возможность как можно больше узнать о России. По словам члена Совета директоров НАФСА доктора Берри Морриса, согласно проведенному исследованию, США для конкурентоспособности необходимо значительно увеличить доступ к изучению иностранным языком, увеличить количество американцев, которые знают русский язык как иностранный. Это ключевая необходимость, и это открывает прекрасные возможности для них в будущем. Нам необходима масштабная рекламная пиар-компания, продвигающая русский язык в качестве второго иностранного языка, подчеркнул член правления НАФСА доктор Моррис. Я уже заметила, что за интересом к русскому языку почти неизбежно приходит и симпатия к России. Стоит американцу побывать в России, познакомиться с простыми русскими людьми, подружиться с ними, как отношение к России меняется на противоположные. Побывав в России один раз, иностранцы, влюбленные в русский язык, хотят возвращаться в Россию вновь и вновь. Мы задались вопросом, как американские студенты принимают решение учить русский язык, почему они его учат и что им нравится. С нами беседовали студенты Университета Центральной Флориды в Орландо. Смогут ли наши собеседники реализовать свои профессиональные планы, покажет время. Но в любом случае они выйдут в жизнь, обогащенные уникальным пониманием других культур, что крайне важно в наш век глобализации и взаимозависимости стран мира друг от друга.
I don't know. I kind of just sought out challenges with language, and I feel like Russian will be a truly challenging language, and it has been. But I feel like it's been pretty rewarding, especially after the advanced class.
Just from when I was a kid, I had this toy globe that had been produced when the Soviet Union was still together. And I was kind of fascinated by this just giant expanse of country that, stretched from Europe to Asia. And for some reason that I really don't understand, I just couldn't stop thinking about it and just wanted to know more about it.
I've always been interested in European affairs, what's going on in Europe and stuff in the countries there. And that was also a critical language.
Learning languages is like a really cool way to like bridge gaps between countries and stuff, like in a way to understand other cultures. Like,
why did I start learning Russian? At first I started learning it out of an interest in the history of Russia, but from there it morphed into a greater appreciation of Russia's culture as well.
I aspire to become a Russian and Eastern European history professor as a future career. So it's necessary for me to know Russian to be able to read primary sources, to do research in the field that I'm interested in.
So I had started learning Russian formally at the University of Central Florida because I had wanted to take a foreign language that was not Spanish, since I had studied Spanish in school. I had wanted to take the German program, but then due to complications with that program, I decided, let me take Russian. I had been exposed to Russian since my childhood because I was born in Ukraine and I grew up in South Florida where there's a large Russian-speaking population. So I had always understood the language, but I had wanted to gain the understanding enough so that I can respond and I had a strong enough vocabulary in order to make sense of my thoughts in Russian.
I'm from Moldova originally. I moved to US around 4 years ago. So I began learning Russian through cartoons because the Soviet Union cartoons are like the same all over Eastern Europe pretty much. So I began with that, and other than that, I learned Russian for a few years in middle school. So that was pretty much the basis. And after that, I pretty much had to speak Russian in my country because half of the population speaks Russian only. So that was pretty much a necessity.
Thing that I find most interesting about Russia is the fact that not only is there like the Russian culture within the country, but there are so many other different ones as well because there are so many different ethnic groups. I think it's cool that you can go from one region of Russia to the next and experience, like, have a completely different cultural experience.
Food and drinks. My favorite drink so far is kvass. Two favorite foods would be blini and shashlik.
My favorite cultural fact about Russia is just the attention to details when it comes to the little things. For example, what the difference between an even and odd number of flowers can mean when given to someone. That little fact has always stuck out in my mind.
What is most interesting to me about Russia is the culture and the art. And a lot of times in art history, when studying art history, especially in the United States, unless you take a special course, you don't really get to cover Russian art or even Russian folk art. And I love just some of the arts and crafts movement-esque work that is. So here I'm wearing finift earrings, and it's a technique of glazing on metal sheets, and then the image itself is hand painted. And I actually got to experience the opportunity to go to the Finift factory in Rostov, Veliki, to see how it was made. Also, the scarves. This one is a Pavlo Pasadsky scarf, and just the beautiful incorporation of nature and craft work that Russia has that I think a lot of people don't really know about unless they visited.
The Russian word for beautiful comes from the same word as red, krasny and krasivi. When you're discussing art history and stuff, you're trying to interpret like what different colors mean, what shadows mean in a piece, or symbolism behind this and that. But that's like a really direct, just like link from the past of like the importance of the color red in Russian
How
culture.
ballet has stuck around throughout the years. I know that in one of my history classes, I learned that even after the French monarchy was unable to continue having ballet productions after the French Revolution, it kept going in Russia, even throughout, the Soviet era. So I thought.
What surprised me the most about the Russian language was just how beautiful it sounded, particularly when reading Russian literature or poetry.
I definitely like the food. That's like the main thing. And I like the festivities. Like it's just 20 kinds of food. It cannot be like too simple. You have to be extra all the time, which is great because it's a lot to choose from.
I don't agree with Ben about kvass. It's pretty good, but I don't think it's the best one. Every time it starts, like the first thing that I go to is tarhun, the best soda I've ever had.
The hospitality of Russian people. After my first study abroad there with Dr. K, like we had people inviting us like into their homes just from off the street, like having just met us and wanting to like get to know us and cook for us. And I just thought it was so amazing that they were so open and so interested in learning about what our lives were like here.
One thing that I found surprising was how easy the alphabet was to learn. At first, I thought that was going to be one of the hardest things about the language, but surprisingly, it only took me like a week or two in Dr. K's class.
And I just thought it was really interesting with there's two different like sh sounds, and I'm not going to do it right now because I can't say them right. I can't hear it. Like, I thought that was really interesting because I had a thought a couple of years ago, like, oh, we have two different THs, like thanks and though, and like, no one explains that, but it's just something you like learn from hearing it. And like, so I'm hoping to train my ear and be able to hear the difference and like be able to pronounce it correctly.
I was very surprised to hear that New Year's is like by far the biggest holiday in America. It's like, yeah, New Year's is cool. it's like just a holiday, and like Christmas is like the big thing. And I guess we're all in agreement about the cases and the language. I thought going into it I would be prepared for cases because German has cases too. It has 4. And then I learned Russian has 6 for some reason. And a lot of times they don't make any sense. There's like not really rules to genitive case, to be honest. I still haven't figured that out.
One similarity is that we both have strong family values. Family is really important to Russians, and in America, I feel it's the same way. The family is a really important aspect of our lives here as well.
We do have a lot of similar holidays, which I found interesting.
So in both countries, I would say that the school is really good. America and Russia, they are providing the best education.
Like a misconception that I think people need to realize is a misconception is that like people think that Russians aren't really friendly and they're closed off and everything, and you can't get close to them. I feel like in general, Americans and Russians will have like the same amount of close friends. You know, they're open, they're hospitable, and there's not really much of a difference in that regard.
We both have really big and diverse populations. Like I feel like a lot of people just think of, they think of Russians and they just think of one thing, but there are like tons and tons of different ethnic groups within Russia, and it's really interesting to learn about all this.
One similarity between America and Russia that people should know of is just how everyday Russians and Americans are very proud of their countries, and in times of crisis, both are able to rise to the challenge.
I think Russians and Americans both have similar dreams and hopes for their children and for their families. They all want their children to have a better life than their parents might have had, and they just want to give their children the best. I think both cultures have those aspirations. I also think that in terms of the way that we do things, a lot of them are the same. Daily activities are pretty similar. And in that sense, we're all humans.